Hello there. We are back. This is going to be another interview. I did this one with Mark Savant. This happened in his hotel room in Florida at PodFest. It was sick. The man is amazing. Before this interview, he was working on getting his podcasting business and stuff to the point where he could quit his job. And now he's at that point. He's quit his job. He's going all in. He is the man. After Hours Entrepreneur is the podcast. And we just talked about being patient in entrepreneurship, which is something he has shown in spades. I was in his mastermind group for a little bit for podcasting, kind of dropped out for a little bit to figure out my priorities and stuff. It was kind of a weirdo time, but I'm definitely going to jump back in when I have the chance pretty soon, I bet. But yeah, just enjoy this interview. It was so quick. It was so good. I was hoping to interview a bunch of people at PodFest because it was like all these people like Travis Brown and Roberto Blake and other people, but it's like, obviously, you have to treat them like real people. Travis Brown was going to come on. Alex Sanfilippo is going to as well. But I kind of disqualify myself a little bit, just it's easy to have imposter syndrome. Even when you're there, you're literally there, It's all good, though. So it was cool to meet him in person. Super sick. Did an episode about PodFest a while ago, back in May when it actually happened. Apologies for Mark for taking forever to get this out. My mindset right now is if I get a ton of stuff done by end of 2022, I'm going to be fire beginning of 2023. We're going to be raging. It's going to be inferno. So yeah, check out links in the show notes and all that stuff. Check out After Hours Entrepreneur. Let's just jump right into the episode. So I'm here with Mark Savant. I am in his mastermind group for podcasting. It's super awesome, and just wanted to talk with him a little bit here at PodFest about patience. Mark, what is the role of patience in the life of the entrepreneur?
Oh man, Dallin, patience is everything. But I think patience with purpose is important. If we're too patient, then we end up not actually taking any action. But having patience in what you're doing is also important. I remember the first podcast I launched called The Awesome Dad Show. When I started it, I had no idea what to expect. And I said, I'm going to be patient. I'm going to do it for at least 1 year. I'm going to go for 1 year. I'm going to post once a week. And, I'm going to see where it leads me, where it guides me. And I was patient. And by the end of that year, I had recognized that nobody was paying me to teach them how to be a better father. People were paying me to teach them how to launch a podcast and how to grow with digital media. And so, patience enough to see something through, but also being willing to adjust based on what you learn, I think is where patience has its place.
This is cool because this is something I was just thinking about recently is like, it's not about suffering. It's about suffering wisely, being very clear of this is what I'm suffering for. And we heard Alex Sanfilippo talk earlier about suffering for Podmatch and letting go of his job because he knew he was willing to suffer for Podmatch. How have you been able to find work that you're willing to suffer for?
Ooh. I think there needs to be, so the way that I see it, Dallin, is looking at a long-term plan, right? Because nothing meaningful comes without some element of suffering or pain, right? Otherwise, it wouldn't be worth doing. If everyone was able to drive a Ferrari, it wouldn't even mean anything anymore. But now we recognize that getting to that Ferrari or that trophy is going to require hard work. It's the same concept with going to the gym. I'm going to the gym because I know if I put in the effort, I put in the work, I'm going to get stronger, I'm going to get faster, I'm going to feel better. So I think that's important. And being able to embrace the failure is something that is really hard at first. The first time I took that step off that ledge, it was really hard. But then the second time, then the third time, it gets easier and easier. So getting comfortable with discomfort, getting familiar with failure is a complete game changer. And now I'm at the point in my life, where I almost embrace it. I almost enjoy the failure part of it. And I'm not a sadist or anything like that, right? But when you start to understand that failure is not the end of everything, it's the beginning of something new. It just starts to open up all these doors, and I don't fear failure anymore. I don't fear the suffering because that's that's part of the entry to the success, right?
Yeah, it jump starts the creative process a lot of time if we want it to. I really love the thought that breakdowns can inspire breakthroughs. So you can choose, when this thing comes down, are we going to take that as a roadblock, or are we going to say there's a roadblock, let's create a new path?
Right. Well, I mean, how many times in your life have you, made a hypothesis that if I do this, then X will happen, right? But then you try it and it's not true, right? Like, I don't know. If I walk up to this girl and I say these words, she'll go out with me. And then, you won't know if it's going to work until you actually try it. Until you go up and you ask the hottest girl in the class, will you go out with me, right? Maybe she says no, and you say, okay, I'm going to tweak my approach a little bit. And then the next hot girl that I go up and approach, I have a better chance at landing her, But unless you take that step, you'll never know. And then you'll end up single and eating pizza while watching Netflix online. And that's no good.
Yeah, and listening to dating advice all day long,
Well, how often do we do that? We read and we think and we watch videos, but it's the execution.
I think being around people at PodFest has really helped me see, like, a lot of these people are creators, and it's what's gotten them to where they are. They're not just consumers.
Yeah.
And that's something that we have to be willing to embrace, because it is an identity shift, and it's an identity thing, is that I'm going to go for this, and I'm not failure. I am a creator. I'm going after this regardless.
Yeah, it goes hand in hand. I took 10 years of Spanish in school, didn't learn anything. 2 months working in a restaurant, I'm fluent. You know what I'm saying? It's once you get in there and get your hands dirty and you roll up the sleeves, that's when the growth happens. That's when the real learning happens.
That's beautiful. Well, Mark has so much more wisdom to share, and I'll have links to all of his stuff in the show notes. But yeah, thanks for hopping on real quick with me, Mark.
Thanks, Dallin. I'll be listening to you soon on my show.
So yeah, that was my interview with Mark Savant, just really quickly about patience and entrepreneurship. And it's about as long as a Dallin's Quick Thoughts episode. Honestly, it just was so good, especially since I haven't heard that audio since like May when we recorded it. And so it's just crazy because it's been like 6 months since that, but it's so true. I mean, being willing to suffer wisely and to be patient and to immerse yourself. That's what I'm trying to do right now, because like getting scattered immersion on 100 different topics really doesn't help a ton, but getting like intense amounts of immersion for like one thing, like right now I'm really just trying to go hard on just getting all my interviews out and just getting the podcast in a better place, telling myself I'm building a big podcast, building an awesome podcast, instead of like trying to have like people tell me that, like it's just interesting. I really loved having Mark on. He's the man. Like, he took me out for these special donuts. We went to this awesome theme park thingy. It wasn't like an actual theme park. It was like they call it like City Walk, where you like walk around stuff, and that's where he got me the fancy donuts and stuff. We just had a good talk about life and stuff. He's the man. I'll get him back on the show soon. He's just a really down-to-earth guy. Check out his podcast. He knows what he's doing. He has done a lot of stuff in podcasting, suffered a lot in podcasting. He knows what he's talking about. So he's just a really good guy in general. So definitely check out his stuff. I have links in the show notes. And yeah, we'll see you next Monday for another interview. Woohoo! I am going to get that done for you guys because I really do care about you guys and what you're up to. And just know you can always reach out to me on LinkedIn. That's probably the best way to reach out to me right now. Just Dallin Candland is my name on there. And yeah, just tell me a little bit about you're from or what you're doing. It's kind of late. We're going to end this. Yeah, just thankful for PodFest and everything like that. My parents did help me pay for the plane ticket and stuff, so I appreciate that. And shout out to PodFest. And I think it was Podmatch or somebody got me the free ticket. Anyway, I want to go again. We're going to end this now. It's been a good time, though. I really enjoyed this interview. Thankful for it. And yeah, something fun for you guys to listen to, I hope. And I will see you next time. Don't forget to yield today, and it will be a better sunny tomorrow.